behind.
What do you mean?
It's way behind. It's not going to be done in time.
You don't think so?
No way. They're always slow. Well, it's one of those things. It's Disney. They're going to want to make sure it's going to be the best thing that they can do. They're not going to open something that's going to fail like that.
Well, it's not going to fail. Let's be honest.
No, it's not going to fail. It's going to take longer than what we expect to. 100%. There's no way that thing's going to be on time. For one factor, it's theme parks to begin with. Disneyland's going to open up first, and then it's going to be Disney World. Not to mention the fact it's a Star Wars hotel. It's the first thing that's going to happen. There's going to be so many flaws to begin with.
Did anybody ever tell you you're really negative?
Did anybody ever tell you you're negative? That's a double negative. We should be positive. Ba-ching.
I was the one that said that I'm excited for the hotel. You're the one that's...
I'm totally excited for the hotel, but what I'm saying is it's going to be late. It's going to be late on the opening day.
You have no faith in Disney. You know what else wasn't?
When have you had faith in Disney?
A little movie called The Incredibles.
That's a great film. I was excited for that, and it's very good.
You know what else wasn't late?
What?
Solo. Even though Lucasfilm wanted to push it.
I liked it.
It wasn't. It was okay.
You liked it to begin with.
I liked it.
You saw it a couple times.
Listen, it has its flaws, man. It has its flaws. For Star Wars fans to say that it's a perfect movie, it is not.
I never said it was a perfect movie.
But you know what?
There's no point of saying
right now.
Everybody's gonna have opinions.
Some movies are perfect. Let's kick it into
like what? What's your perfect movie?
The Godfather 2. Let's kick it into a fun fact here. Where's Ro? Ro is in
Tatooine.
Yes, he is in. He's coming back from Arizona actually right now.
Yeah, basically it's as hot as Tatooine.
Fun fact, Solo is not the lowest grossing movie of all time. Or for the Star Wars movies, I mean.
2.
What?
Is Attack of the Clones?
No.
What is it?
It's Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I can see that making sense.
So which is funny because it's critically acclaimed as the greatest Star Wars movie of all the times. What do you think about that? First of all, where do you stand on this whole box office thing? I mean, they've already announced there's not going to be any more solo.
Like solo films by itself?
That's what it seems like.
It's going to be trilogies.
Well, do you think that they're not doing a solo sequel? So let's just start that off the bat. But what do you think about that? Would you want to see a solo sequel?
I would rather have something focused on another character with him entering into it.
So you still want it taking place in that kind of still atmosphere?
Yes and no. I wouldn't mind it being in the gangster realm. I think that was... I would rather see it go towards a Jabba the Hutt type thing and being about more different characters than just centered around Solo.
Well, guess what, guys? If you want to chime in, we have the Super Chat feature. What that does to help support the show, hit that Super Chat feature, and your comment will get highlighted. Now, this isn't a YouTube exclusive. Now, I know a ton of you guys are watching us over on Star Wars Trilogy on Facebook and on that hashtag show's Facebook page as well. The Super Chat feature is only on YouTube, but we will be reading from all three, which is our YouTube channel, that hashtag show's Facebook page, and right here at Star Wars Trilogy's Facebook page, we'll be reading your comments. Second, I want to talk about is now we got some huge casting news for Star Wars Episode 9. Now Episode 9 is going to complete this new trilogy, the Rey trilogy, what are people calling this, the Disney era trilogy. How do you feel about her character, and who do you think she's going to be playing?
Which one, Mara Jade?
No, Mara Jade's not cast in anything. She's not real. So I'm talking about KerrI Russell.
Oh, KerrI Russell? Well, okay. So there's either going to be two routes to it. Either she's going to be a portion of the Resistance, or she's going to be another Jedi that we don't know about. That's my opinion.
She could be a villain.
She could be. This is still technically under Force-esque things.
So we had the exclusive breakdown on Mara Jade's character. She does fit the age range of what they're looking for Mara Jade. She's a little on the younger side from what I think, but it's interesting too because J.J. Abrams is going back to using KerrI Russell because KerrI Russell has worked with J.J. on multiple things, starting with Felicity, and carrying that all the way through Alias and everything else. Mission Impossible 3. So it almost seems like J.J. uses a lot of the actors he's worked with before. Obviously, we know that in Force Awakens... Well, wouldn't you want to work with
somebody who you knew does a good job?
No, I just want to work with people that do good jobs.
That's exactly what I just said, though.
I mean, it doesn't matter if I know them or not, though. That has nothing to do with...
Yeah, she did a good job for him, so it's kind of like falling in suit.
Well, but listen, I think it's fine casting choice, but it's a little bit of nepotism.
I mean, it depends on what they're casting her for, though.
So this would be, if let's say she is Mara Jade, that's your first ideal choice?
Honestly, Mara Jade, off the top of my head, I don't really have a choice at this point.
But you think that...
I don't have
you can't. All right, listen.
Who I think Mara
it's very
Jade
difficult to dispute an argument if you don't have an opinion on it.
I don't have an opinion on it. Not right now.
So here's my point.
This is the case in point. We don't know even if it is Mara Jade.
Sure, but here's my point: is that I think she's a fine choice. But you asked me a question of I think it's a good idea to cast people that I've worked with? Well, if there's people that are better for roles, then no, I don't.
Point taken, but that's what ends up happening quite often is people end up working
with J.J. Abrams. I wouldn't say that's what happened that's what happens quite often, but it does happen with J.J. Abrams in particular.
Well, it's just like take Tarantino for instance. Tarantino will take everybody he works with for the most part and brings them back eventually.
For the most part, but he's a pretty versatile. I mean, there are tropes behind his casting choices for sure, but I don't think that he's willing to just cast the same people over and over again.
Who, JJ?
No,
or
Tarantino.
Well, Sam Jackson's in almost every one of his movies.
Sam Jackson's in a lot of his movies. I would say in every one of his movies.
Well, a good percentage of them.
Sure, but I mean that's just the fact that he's comfortable working with those actors, and I'm sure. But how many?
Exactly, that's kind of the same suit of being with JJ.
My point is, Quentin Tarantino's not a director that facilitates a lot of box office revenue. Go ahead, I'll wait.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that
all I'm saying is if you work well with somebody is the fact that people want to still keep working with somebody. If you do well for somebody, they're going to want to bring you on to something else.
Sure, but I think that it's more of a trope with J.J. Abrams than anything else.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's a bad choice, but I'm just saying that that's just what he does. I mean, I don't think that's anything new. There's a couple of possibilities of what she can be playing. One big speculation is Mara Jade. There's another speculation that she could be playing a member of the Resistance. But we have a character breakdown that we haven't released yet, which I actually think she could be playing this character. But we'll release it within the next couple of weeks. I don't want to release it quite yet because I'm on Disney's good side right now. But that's a possibility. Now, who do you think she is playing? You said you already gave your opinion, but do you think she can fit as Mara Jade?
If you put them side by side and change her hair around, I mean, I can't imagine why she couldn't do it.
Do you think she's age appropriate for the role?
It depends on what section of the universe they're going with.
Rob, I'm gonna need more than that. I mean, you gotta have an opinion on this, no?
I don't really have a sole opinion on it just because it's all speculation.
This is the whole point of the show, is to speculate about what's going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. I just speculated the fact that I don't really have an opinion on something that could be there or could not be there.
So I'm going to speculate that it's a possibility this could be Mara Jade. If this is Mara Jade, then definitely, depending on which route they go, they're obviously going to alter the character a little bit and maybe not make her Luke's wife, possibly could make her somebody that trained with Luke. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of different ways you can go. I'm curious to see what you guys think and which way you're going to go, mainly because Rob has no speculation today.
I can't really sit there and say that it's just because we have just a name. It could be her, it could not be her. Like, if it is, cool. If she's obviously doing something in it. I can't necessarily say, oh, she'd be Mara Jade.
Rob,
okay,
you do realize that this is a show that's not big. I mean, we're talking about news, right?
That's what I just said. I'm just going off of that.
Talking about news, but it's our jobs to speculate on what could possibly be happening. Because obviously, I don't have the episode 9 script in front of me. You don't have the episode 9 script in front of you.
Well, what I'm saying is my speculation is we don't know what it is.
That's not a speculation, that's a fact.
That's my fact. There you go.
Okay. So, in terms to make this interesting, I'm going to speculate that it's possible. I don't think she is Mara Jade personally. I think that she's playing another character, which we'll be releasing more information on just a little bit later, even though that character skews a little bit younger. But I think it could be that character. Again, we'll have more on that later. Let's talk about some other Star Wars news that's going on right now. We did talk a little bit about the Star Wars hotel. So new details have been released about the hotel. You don't think it's going to be done in time?
Absolutely not.
So what? And you say because why?
My intel behind it, it's way far behind. Just people I've known that I've worked with in the past.
Is this speculation or is this fact?
This is fact. This is fact. This is not speculation. This is just how the fact of how Disney parks are running right now and what they're doing. They have so many things going on in construction in that area and zone that if it opens on time, I'd be very, very surprised.
So you think that it won't be ready for because a lot of people are speculating now that
the whole idea behind it is that you're going to have a hotel inside of a park. The whole getting that taken care of is a huge thing that they've been working on for like the last 3 years, and that making it on a time deadline, I would be very surprised if it was up and running without any flaws. Let's go with the fact of opening up a Toy Story area that they just opened up. I have friends in there the other day that completely the entire thing was not running. It's been open for a week. Is it going to open on time? They'll open. It's not going to run properly.
But it will open on time.
You go stay there and probably half the stuff won't work.
Sure. So it'll be like a preview night.
Basically. I mean, they're going to do hard previews.
Give Rob a drink. He seems a bit nervous.
Who said that?
It's from our comments coming in fast and furious. Justin Lee.
A bit nervous. Nah, not even close.
Let's see. Let's go to Marky. Mark, he says, I can't see her being Mara Jade. I agree with you. I don't think it's Mara Jade personally. If they're changing her where she's not Luke's wife and she's too young to be the Emperor's hand, so completely changes the popular character, but using the name and look, that's going to piss a lot of Star Wars fans off again. I agree with you. So I don't think it's going to be Mara Jade unless it's told in just flashbacks where she's already dead, where it's with a kind of younger Luke.
Scroll.
It could be. If you introduce scrolls in Star Wars, it might make money, but mainly because Marvel's just doing so well with their films right now.
True.
But
that's why they pump 3 out a year.
That's right. But Star Wars shouldn't pump 3 out a year.
No, because I think that's too much.
What's that?
It's too much.
It is too much, and because Star Wars is an event, and Marvel is a serialized film series that's ongoing.
Well, it's almost a binge watching. You could almost throw it up on Netflix and watch hours and hours of films of Marvel right now.
That's true, but you can do the same thing with Star Wars.
Yeah.
I just think that Star Wars isn't executing it as well as Marvel is, but also Star Wars isn't trying to. Star Wars isn't a serialized thing that Marvel's trying. Marvel's almost kind of like TV shows that happen 3 times a year or 4 times a year that are theatrical experiences, where Star Wars are more events. They're more things that you take a family to, and more things that are just a tradition. I want to say right now in pop culture. I do think though that back to this KerrI Russell thing. I don't think that KerrI Russell is playing Mara Jade personally. I think she's going to play another character, but it's possible, I guess, either way. We're not quite sure how that's going to be. Now, Justin Lee says flashback scenes would make sense, but how do you make flashbacks with a young Luke? Well, that's easy. Marvel's already executed that. If you look at,
I mean, you could put his face on somebody else's body. They've done it enough times.
Well, if you look at the de-aging things that they're doing with all the Marvel films, and they're doing it Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's another example. They're de-aging Sam Jackson for the whole movie. So it can definitely happen with flashback scenes with Luke. Now, there's a lot of speculation that the movie's going to be a time jump, and I don't think there's any question that it has to do that, mainly because of the story might not be the story that they were originally going to tell. And I also think that Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, General Leia, there has to be an explanation on why she isn't really going to be in this movie, and I think that all happens off screen. And I think that's why we're going to get a significant time jump.
Costa has a really, really good point. He says, could Russell be a Knight of Ren?
Absolutely.
That would be. I'd be cool with that. I'd get behind that. I've been waiting on Knights of Ren for a film now. So
I think that we're for sure going to get the Knights of Ren. I also think we'll get the Knights of Ren a lot more developed in the Star Wars Resistance animated show, which had some new animation that came out, or new pictures that came out this week. Now, Star Wars Resistance, we got a first look at the artwork and the characters that are going to be involved. It's seeming that it's going to focus mainly on Poe's journey, and also the big bad guy in this, more than likely, is going to be Phasma, which a lot of fans of The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi have been wanting.
Yeah, it would be nice to see a little bit more of her character, since it was kind of like she's the Boba Fett of this series. of being, oh, this is a really cool character, really shiny metal, but we get to see her for screen time under 15 minutes.
Yes, from the images, we have our first look at the main character, Kazuto I think it's Xeno. We have a look at BB-8, along with Poe and some other heroes that they're going to encounter, and the main villain will be Captain Phasma for the series. What do you think about it?
Main villain as Captain Phasma, I think, is great because it's you know, how many times do we have a whole you know, a girl villain character that's a cool villain girl in a stormtrooper costume? I remember years ago being a performer and them saying, no, you can't have girls as stormtroopers. Why can't you have girls as stormtroopers? Well, they walk differently. What's that supposed to mean? That being said, that was under a Disney code that we worked with, and that was what they wanted at the time at Lucasfilm. Now the fact that times have changed, and we now have Phasma as the main character, who is played by a girl, and is obviously has the swagger of a girl. Why not have her be you know, a character that they can look up to that is a villain? You know, we do have a lot of villain girls. Ventress, for instance, was a great villain who was a girl. Ara Singh, who I think you know, got a lot of Clone Wars time. I'm not mad about it. I think it'd be cool to see her develop, and to be honest, I would love them to show what she looks like without the helmet on.
I agree. Ben Wolf, who's one of our writers here at that hashtag show, says KerrI Russell could play any role, and that's completely true. He also goes on, or he also said earlier on, Mara could be coming to avenge Luke and the Academy. It could work. It can work. Especially during, if this is a past kind, or if there's a flashback, it can be her definitely trying to avenge. And what if Kylo kills Mara in a flashback? All possibilities here on Star Wars Fanatics. Thoughts?
About Kylo going back and killing Mara? I mean, that could be completely possible. The fact that he went on basically a rage spree of killing all basically the Luke's entire basically his Jedi temple that he was making. I could see that 100% happening. Maybe she was one of Luke's teachers at that time.
And at that point, Carrie Fisher, depending on the age range, could work as Mara Jade.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie Fisher?
Sorry, KerrI Russell.
Oh, okay. I was going to say...
Two Kerrys in one movie.
Two Kerrys in one movie is kind of very confusing. I mean, even with Carrie Fisher, you know, with the next one, she's technically not dead in the story. So, that being said, do you kill her off in the scroll, or do you have her superimposed on
what would you do?
I think for Carrie Fisher being Carrie Fisher, of having her nostalgic of what she had, I'd kill her off in the scroll, to be honest.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
I don't think there's any need to superimpose her face on anybody. Not necessarily saying a disrespect factor, but because obviously we've seen them superimpose her young self in Rogue One, but I don't see it being an issue. I would kill her off in the scroll. I
want to put this out to the chat. What do you guys think? Who's a more underserved villain in the Star Wars universe? Is it Phasma, Boba Fett, or Snoke? Vote by using the hashtag of your choice, hashtag Snoke, hashtag Phasma, or hashtag Boba Fett on Facebook and on right here on Star Wars Fanatics. Who do you think?
Out of the three? You had Snoke, you had Boba Fett, and who? Phasma?
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think Snoke was used whatsoever. I mean, Boba Fett was kind of used in Return of the Jedi. Gosh, I don't know. I kind of want to know more about Snoke than any of them. I think we've already kind of got enough about Boba Fett through the Clone Wars. I mean, we're going to get a lot about Phasma in Resistance.
We're getting them in right now. Daniel Nagami, hashtag Boba Fett. Yeah. Scott Forwood the second, hashtag Snoke.
I'm hashtag Snoke.
We got more here. Snoke. We got Daniel Diaz, hashtag Phasma. He actually said hashtag Plasma.
Plasma.
Gold R says hashtag Boba Fett. So
he never got his story fleshed out.
We're having a few of these come in. Dustin also hashtag Snoke. We're seeing a lot of Snokes actually. Ben Wolf,
hashtag
Snoke.
Golden Girls. Okay, so we have Betty White playing Phasma later in the Star Wars universe.
That's right.
I'd be mad about it.
So
I'd watch that.
There's been this big big talk about this episode 8 remake, fan remake. It got a poster. It did get a poster.
It did get a poster.
First of all, what are your feelings on this fan remake of episode 8?
Guys, get over it. It happened. Just get over it. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, cool. What are you trying to accomplish? They're not gonna change it. A, B, are you just doing it for fun? Because that's all it really is gonna be doing. And C, I mean, you could be mad at it. Guess what? It's not gonna change. I wasn't the hugest fan on it, but it happened and it's canon. So get used to it. That's
I don't understand the big complaints about it. I really don't. Maybe it's just me, but I mean,
my biggest complaint about it was just I didn't care for Luke going in the direction.
It's because we've talked about this so much on this show, man.
Yeah, we beat it to death. Like
it's so pointless to talk about this at this point. Like, it is what it is. If you didn't like it, sure, but But
that's like anything. I like portions of the prequels, and you think the prequels are dog shit. So
I don't, not all of it. Most of it,
and that's my opinion on that one too. Like, there's sections.
I think it's so sad about this Ahmad Best thing. Let's switch subjects to that first.
Ahmad Best.
Wait,
what happened with Ahmad Best?
Where he said he wanted to commit suicide after. Episode 1. It's terrible.
So I met Ahmad Best when I was working at Disney at one point. He is one of the nicest guys. Very happy to be where he was at. And going off of episode 1 with Ahmad Best and Jake Lloyd. Like, how bad do you have to feel after everybody, the hate mail, the trolls, the XXXXX of people going, hey, we hate you because of this. We hate this because of this. This kid was 8 years old when that happened. And he basically is now, I think, in rehab.
Wait, you're not... I'm
talking about Jake Lloyd.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm talking about Jake Lloyd. But Ahmad Best had the same thing. Like, I remember him talking stories when he was doing panels, and he would be like, I felt so bad for him more than me because he's 8 years old and I'm an adult. Like, we rip on stuff all the time, but like, even somebody's doing a job like that, it's like when they were trolling the Rose character, I forget her name off the top of my head.
Kelly Marie
Tran. Like, they were trolling her. She's like, I'm out. I'm not dealing with your stuff. You know, people control all you want. You know, you telling me I needed a drink off here, I could care less. You're not going to hurt me at the end of the day. But what I'm saying is like, people, because of the love for it so much, is you could really like mess with a person who's actually doing that role as a job. Don't be mad at them.
But let's be 100% honest about this. I mean, I was just in a conversation earlier this weekend at Anime Expo about the most toxic fandoms.
Star Wars.
Star Wars is right at there.
Star Wars is like, oof.
I mean, it's straight up like at the top.
Yeah, because let's just say this much: the fact that Solo didn't make any money speaks a lot of how people were. But like, I enjoyed Solo because it was a fun film. It was kind of like you turn your brain off and I'm going to have Star Wars film.
It's a popcorn movie.
It's a popcorn movie.
But that's not what The Last Jedi is. It's not a popcorn movie.
It's something.
It's something that you didn't like because you feel you own this character. I know. I get it, but
what I'm saying is well, like Force Awakens. Did you like Force Awakens? I don't remember if we've
I like the Force Awakens. I do like the Force Awakens.
Okay, so let's break down something positive. What's what 5 things did you like about Force Awakens, other than it was basically a rewritten New Hope?
I thought it looked really good. There was less lens flare than a J.J. Abrams movie normally would have.
Oh, you don't like lens flares?
Not in every
film.
Thing that I see. I think that the story's well told. I like that they really captured the character of Han Solo. I mean, that's what it is. It really built on a new legacy of Star Wars characters, which, again, these movies are not about... There we go, Derek. Bro, no, Solo was not good. I do think that the movies are about the new cast, and the old cast it's almost like a passing of the torch, but a lot of people aren't necessarily realizing that.
No, and I think people are having an issue with handing that torch off because they've seen them for 40-some years. And I'm okay with handing a torch off if I don't know, like I remember like watching when Solo died and watching grown men cry in the same room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because there's, again, this is one of those things where a lot of people feel ownership of a character. And I think that's the biggest problem that a lot of people had with Episode 8. With Episode 9, though, and I also think it's a little unfair. I've said this before. It's so unfair to judge a movie that's a part of a trilogy and say, oh, you know what, like this, there's still one more left to come. Yeah. Like, if I would have just, at Lord of the Rings, as many people like it, like, if you would just stop watching at the Two Towers, I don't like it, but if you just stop watching at the Two Towers...
I didn't think so. It sounded very sarcastic.
Then if you stop watching it at just the Two Towers, it's like, yeah, this sucks.
Two Towers is still a fun film.
I don't like it at all. I
like
think
Two
that's
Towers?
The worst of all of them.
Really?
I hated that movie.
I love the portions with the trees. I like that scene.
Oh, man, that movie's so bad. But, like, I personally think that with that, it's like, if I stopped it right there, it's like, well, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. Then, is that a fair assessment to the trilogy, though?
No, and I get what you're going with this, and I think it's just the factor of, I think people were expecting something completely different and didn't get what they wanted.
I mean, I also think that the biggest mistake that Star Wars is having isn't necessarily the storytelling, the actual directors they're getting. It's that the leader on top is letting them do whatever they want without having a plan. And I think that's to have a franchise like Star Wars.
Daniel Nagami has a good thing. He says Two Towers had the best film battle scene. It did. It had a really good battle scene too.
It doesn't make up for the bad story, but
bad story. It's the middle ground.
Dude, you're literally telling me that, and you're telling me you didn't like The Last Jedi. So
there's lots of stuff in the bad.
You can't necessarily. You can't sit here and just
hold on. So you love 45 minutes of a casino scene that made no sense?
No, I like the movie as a whole though. And it did make sense. It made sense.
Of what?
It was showing you three things.
I don't need more depression.
All right, hold on.
The entire thing was depression.
Cool story, bro. Now let me tell you why
it is, because 45 minutes of a casino scene of depression of kids is nothing.
But it was the oppression of kids. It was the oppression of kids in which that last scene had more impact to show that you can be somebody that was like down here and do something with it. That was a huge difference.
You had that. It was called Rey being from a planet where they picked her up, where there's nobody there. And she was literally dropped off.
And this is exactly why I don't think that's going to be the case with Rey, is because there's more story to tell.
Exactly. There's
and I think movie. But I also think that's exactly what I've been saying about this whole thing. There's a whole nother movie that there's left to tell. That's what I'm saying. Is there's a lot more of the story that we haven't seen. I think once the whole picture comes out and you can judge it for a trilogy, then that's one thing. However, I also think the biggest mistake that this new trilogy is making, which the last one didn't, or the original one didn't, the last one was terrible, but the original trilogy didn't tell, was that George Lucas knew what he wanted to do with all the characters. Kathleen Kennedy didn't necessarily. She knew what they were going to do with the first movie because she said, hey, do this. Or, J.J. Abrams was like, hey, this is our pitch, we're going to do this. Sure. Hey, Rian Johnson, you're next. Do whatever you want with these characters. Sure. Colin Trevorrow, you're up. Like, it's like a choose your own adventure. That's the worst way to run a studio. You have to know exactly what you want to do with these characters. It would be easier to say, hey, this is the guidelines. These are the points we want to hit. Fill in the rest. And I think that was the problem with the Kathleen Kennedy. That's the problem with Kathleen Kennedy in this era of Star Wars now. Because how do you have the biggest franchise in movie history and kind of like let people just play jazz? It doesn't work for me. It does not work.
Obviously, that's why it's not working.
Again, I don't think that's Rian Johnson's fault. I think that's Kathleen Kennedy's fault for not having a plan.
I don't think she really has a plan after that anyways, because this is why Solo kind of got screwed up.
Well, Solo got screwed up.
Well, the marketing was terrible for it.
I don't think that's why Solo got screwed up. I think that, I think that Solo, number one, Lucasfilm was trying to hire directors and trying to figure out a way to do things, I think, a little too close to Marvel. And I think that that's the first mistake that they made, is that Star Wars universe needs to realize that they're not Marvel. Yes, you can have comedy in your stuff, but I do agree with The Last Jedi criticism a little bit, that there was too much comedy there for a Star Wars movie. You don't want it to be dark and somber, but at the same time, you want to make it feel like it's not Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think that's the initial problem.
No, because I think Guardians is too comical anyways. I don't think you could take it that far.
But that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I think that with the way that... I don't think Trevorrow really messed up the trilogy. It's really all...
Trevorrow?
I'm sorry,
you
Rian
mean
Johnson.
Rian Johnson.
I'm
actually really glad Trevorrow didn't do it, because after watching Jurassic Park, that was...
Well, I don't like those Jurassic Park movies anyways. I don't understand why he was brought in...
That was rough.
To begin with.
I watched that last night after being in Europe for 2 weeks.
It was bad?
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Describe it to me.
Okay, so I felt like I was watching Sharknado with dinosaurs.
Mm.
Like, I know what I'm getting myself into.
It was that bad, huh?
I know what I'm getting myself into when I watch Sharknado. When I go and see a Jurassic Park film, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have dinosaurs. They're going to get out. They're going to do something. It was literally like watching Lost World with less island, more into a mansion, and humans are getting cloned now.
Well, DeMarcus Hamby says Solo got messed up because of The Last Jedi. That's it. That's all, period. I completely disagree with that.
I disagree with that.
It got messed up from the beginning when they fired their directors. And then there was so much turmoil. Like, all movies that kind of have this kind of turmoil have an audience that already is going to be like, this is going to be a train wreck. Now, there's two types of people that are going to go see it. One, to figure out how bad was it and how much did they need to fix. And the other ones are hardcore fans. And guess what? Those are who went to go see it exactly. It wasn't.
Well, those are the people who are going to go watch it anyways. Even if you put something that says Star Wars onto it, people are going to go watch it no matter what.
But see, I think it's interesting with Star Wars because I think that they have an advantage over Marvel in a lot of ways with their world, because you can do almost anything with these characters, because you can make a new, let's say Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys, they can make a whole new trilogy about characters we don't even know.
And people could hate it.
And people can hate it, but people could love it.
Right.
Right? But it's really on them to do it. Whereas Marvel, it's a little harder. Even DC or any of these other pre-exposed franchises, because they have to play with characters that people, at the very least, somewhat know. And I think that with Star Wars, you can kind of do that. So I think there's a little bit of disadvantage. And this is why, and we've talked about this a lot, is why I think that Solo may not have been the best choice for the second, like, standalone movie.
I agree with that factor too, just because of the fact of, like, Rogue One, you didn't have anything focused on any character.
Yes.
There wasn't one focus on, hey, this is about Han Solo. This is a story about a rogue group that went in and did a job.
I agree.
I mean, I enjoyed Solo. I thought it was probably the better one that Disney's done as a story-wise. Did it do very good? Again, that's my opinion. But that being said, it's solely centered on one character. That it's really hard to do because everybody's just going to be so nitpicky about it.
But also, I think the thing that people, I wish more people did give Solo a chance, because the one thing that when you do walk out of that movie, you think to yourself, wow, that was a fun movie. You know what I mean? It's a positive kind of like, oh wow, that was actually pretty fun.
Right, but it was one of those ones that you could literally just grab a thing of popcorn and go, oh, okay.
Yeah, movie. Just be entertained for like 2 hours.
I'm not going to say it's probably the best Star Wars film. It's my favorite of the Star Wars franchise so far, or the Disney franchise so far. But best Star Wars film? No, I don't. I disagree with it. It's probably my top 4, 5.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's a fair assessment. I mean, like you said, it's just something that you can just, it's mindless entertainment.
It's mindless entertainment.
But it's a good story. Yeah, like, it is a pretty good.
It's like I'm going to throw it on in the background while I'm cleaning my house.
Let me ask you a question about Solo, something I had not talked to you about. There's a lot of things from Solo's past that we've always known. The Kessel Run, some of these, how he met Lando. Mm-hmm. Do you think this should have all been in this one movie, or do you think over time it should have been spread out?
Honestly, I think, the series factor of it, I think this film would have fit in really nicely if we've been talked about the Star Wars Underground.
Sure.
This story, I think, would have been better developed in a series section of, we've got a story about, Han and Han meeting Chewie, and then meeting Lando and having to do the Kessel Run, and finding Beckett, and Beckett having his own story that you get little tidbits about, pushing Aura Singh, and I didn't kill her, but the Fall did. Like, having a full episode about that, that right there interests me a lot. Like, what is Beckett doing with Aura Singh? Why are they even they're in the same realm and universe, but you could do a full hour-long episode on that.
So let me ask you. So Thomas Skillman says, why does Star Wars have to have so many female leads?
I think it tailors to what's being sold right now.
Female leads?
Yep. Strong female leads. What do you think?
I don't know if that's the case, though, because historically, and box office-wise, strong female leads have not been the case. I think the one thing that Star Wars did really well, especially with the newer trilogies and Rogue One, is that it didn't matter if you're a male or female. It's just a strong character. And I think that that's kind of the undertone of what I've always got from it. If you're really looking at movies, my personal thought, if you're looking at movies saying, oh well, that was a good movie, but the hero was a woman, then you're looking at a movie in the wrong way. I think that if you can have a strong character and a good story, that's all that really matters.
100% agreeing.
The Wizard of Oz is a great example.
Exactly, it's a great film. But lately we've had like Ghostbusters. We've had remakes of Ocean's movies. We've had Star Wars.
But those are doing it just to do it. I don't think Star Wars is doing it just to do it.
So why didn't they make Rey a boy?
Well, why? What does it matter? What gender she was?
It wouldn't matter anyways.
But yeah,
we could have made her an alien that switches gender roles.
Isn't it kind of nice to change it up because we've had 6 other movies that were all male leads?
Absolutely.
So, like, what does it matter if she was a guy or a girl at that point?
Well, then I'm just throwing this back out again. But like, what's with Rogue One and Felicity Jones being the main one?
Yeah.
Well, so her being the daughter of it, wasn't that technically being the same era of that?
We're just talking about movie release, not timeline chronological.
No. But what I'm saying is
chronology.
At the time, though, of this right now, this is the era of strong, womanly figures.
I mean, yeah, of course it is, but I don't think that plays into it as much as it's just storytelling. I mean,
well, let's just go off the side rails of Star Wars. DC, it's probably his best film has been Wonder Woman.
What's that?
I said DC's probably their best film has been Wonder Woman.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Strong woman lead.
Right.
It's what I'm getting off of is those are what's making money right now.
But I mean that's one, right? Like so but if you looked at the other examples you just made, Ocean's 8,
right.
Ghostbusters, what else was there that's recently that was also like a female lead that didn't Ghost in the Shell didn't do well. Then there's
I kind of enjoyed that one though. It was fun. I wouldn't say it was probably the best film that came out with there, but I enjoyed that film.
It didn't do well. There's also what was the Charlize Theron one that didn't do well?
Oh, Atomic Blonde.
Blonde.
Oh, that was other than the stunts in that movie, that was a rough one to watch.
Yeah, but I don't know about this female agenda thing. I don't think that that's a thing. Kathleen Kennedy's pushing the female agenda. I don't believe that.
You don't think so?
No. I don't. At all. I think that they're just trying stuff that's different. Listen, at the end of the day, if Star Wars were to just keep making movies about male leads, Star Wars would get so much criticism for not expanding their universe.
Star Wars is going to get criticism no matter what.
But is it? We're only really hearing Star Wars criticism now. Like, I feel that, like, Star Wars has almost been an untouchable franchise up until the last couple of years.
That's because we have the internet now.
Sure. But you also
it wouldn't even be any.
I also think with Star Wars, there's so many people that you have to kind of please that again, we've talked about this before. The toxicity of the fan base or the people that you're trying to market to. They might not be the majority, but they're the loudest portion of the minority fans out there. I don't think that it really makes sense to say, oh, you know what, this should be female-driven characters. There should be male-driven characters. If they're good characters, they're just good characters, right? What's it matter what gender they are? I really don't think it matters either way. So that's just my opinion. By the way, I disagree. Here's another one. Ben, he says everything is females with Kennedy, movies, cartoons, etc. I could have swore that Rebels, the main character in that, is Ezra, which is not a female. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct.
So I don't think that again, like that's why it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. That's just me. So what?
Let's go back to even Clone Wars. Ahsoka Tano became one of the best main characters off that show, and she's. I would love to see an actual live action version of that.
I agree. So I think that there's not. I mean, again, strong character though. Yeah, it's not necessarily as a female, male, just a strong character. So I think that there's a lot that goes into that. I think that once we start doing that kind of thing of like saying, oh well, Kathleen Kennedy's only trying to do this, or only trying to do this. I think you're being kind of blind to the real universe that's really going on, because it's almost like they're tricking you with one thing and then doing something else. It's very interesting to me. So that's that. By the way, also he says that's fine, 90%. Ben, also another one that they're doing for the new Star Wars animated series. just to let you know, is also going to be a male character for Resistance. Is a male character as a lead. Star Wars Resistance.
Yeah.
It's a male character.
I think it also too it brings the girl factor into Star Wars. You know, for the most time, Star Wars was kind of labeled for boys.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and Disney going with the fact of going, hey, we have all these princesses anyways, for sections of that going, hey, buy my princess stuff because girls do it. You know, let's just say like Ashley Eckstein was like one of the main ones who was like, hey, guess what? Girls can do it too. And that being accepted on both realms, sweet. Have the girls come play with the boys. I don't care.
Right.
It's awesome. I would rather have, like you said, a good character who's a female being said with that of letting everybody play in the sandbox.
I agree.
Because this is kind of like, I think Star Wars is something that I feel like everybody can share and enjoy at the same time. Obviously, that's why you and I like it. Agreements, disagreements of opinions is completely okay and acceptable. That's obviously why we have this show, so we can talk about this kind of stuff. You know, being said, oh, hey, you know, because why are all them, you know, why are all these girls strong gender? I love Rey. I think Rey's a fantastic character.
I do too.
I think she's a good additive to being a Jedi. We've had girl Jedis in the past, but there really wasn't any like, you know, I would have loved to saw a who's the blue Jedi? I forget her name. Anybody shout it out online? It's
the one from
Ayla Secura. Ayla Secura. I would have loved a section with Ayla Secura. She was in the movie for like maybe 5 seconds of the film. She was in a lot of the Clone Wars shows. Doing a live action version of that, or Ahsoka Tano would be fantastic. I'd love those.
And at the end of the day,
Savine even.
Yeah, but also at the end of the day, if you can get boys and girls to buy more toys, that's the quote at the end of the line.
Quote at the end of the line.
So I mean, this is the exact reason why I don't think Solo did as well, is because the toys didn't sell as well. I mean, I think that we'd be looking at a different scenario and possibly sequels if the toys sold better.
You know what I was looking for? I love Star Wars jackets.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars jackets that end up coming up and things that I can use that I like to say like everyday use of, if I've got like something that, let's just say if you're not a fan and you look at that and go, oh, that's really cool. But then I go, if you are a fan, you know exactly what it is without saying it. I normally get that kind of stuff with like most of my clothing wear of things. So I was really hoping for like some really cool, you know, either like a Han jacket or something like that came from this film. There was no like movies past they've done that
right.
between you know, the Poe Finn jacket, between the Han Solo jacket, between that kind of stuff. Or
they did come out with Lando's cape though.
Yeah, Lando's cape. With that being said, how many people bought a Lando's cape?
Because it's a cape.
It's
I mean, let's be honest about it.
Who wears a cape unless
besides Dracula or Superman?
It's not the 1960s.
Yeah, I mean, who does wear a cape nowadays?
I mean, unless you're trying to be Jack the Ripper again. By the way, that was a lot of fun. So if you get over to France and pop over to London, please go do a Jack the Ripper tour. They're fantastic. Yeah. That was my trip.
Well, I think that with the toy sales is a big deal. Solo just didn't have it.
And the yeah. I think the marketing on that was just bad.
I agree with that. I mean,
let's think about 7. When 7 came out, you saw all the characters on like basically toilet paper.
Yeah.
You could like wipe your butt with all the characters. How cool is that?
Well, that's strange. But I definitely think though that with the episode 7 and a lot of the main Star Wars saga stuff,
I don't even think that Jedi or Last Jedi had that. I don't think they had the marketing either. Not like 7 did. 7 came out all guns blazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's so much. I don't know how well the toy sales yet for episode 8. That's an interesting thing. I don't know about that.
I think that the biggest thing why let's just say 8 did so well, as in for the fact of this, the controversy behind either you liked it or you didn't like it. That was the big talk on 8.
It's interesting because there's not a lot of people that are like in the middle about that.
No,
movie.
There's not. There's like, nah, it's like, no, I either hated it or I liked it.
Yeah, because I don't find a lot of people that are like, oh, it was okay. You know what I mean? There's not anybody.
No,
really
there's not somebody
that's
like,
like,
oh, that was a good. You know, it was either one or the other, and I'll be agreeing with you. There was portions that I really enjoyed of that film.
I have a question for you. Now that has there ever been a movie that you've seen and then after
I'd want to go watch it again.
No, that you didn't like, and then you either saw it in its complete kind of thing, or maybe you saw like, you know, you watch it later on down the line, you know, actually, and you think actually that was a pretty good movie, or maybe I didn't see it from the same perspective I did originally.
Off the top of my head,
yeah,
probably Sixth Sense.
Really? You didn't like it, or you did like it?
Well, at first I think at the time I think I was too young to actually understand Sixth Sense, and now I watch it now and it makes sense to me.
Okay.
Because I think it more or less at the time it scared the bejesus out of me.
That's more of an age thing, I'm guessing.
It was definitely an age thing. I mean, I don't know.
Does anyone think that Disney's Star Wars dropped the ball on Disney Infinity? I would have played through The Last Jedi or Solo Sandbox.
That was such a good idea. That entire game system was like a Disney gold mine for a while. The fact that you could buy different characters and you had to buy the actual character to make everything go inside the land, that was a Disney gold mine for a long time. I'm actually kind of sad that kind of died out because it was a lot of fun to go, you know, hop around with different Star Wars characters, and you had to buy the figure to make it actually work.
Rogue One didn't sell a lot of toys either.
No,
but that makes a lot of sense. Why? There's not a lot of.
It wasn't.
I mean, nobody's trying to buy a Krennic.
No.
Action figure.
Now that, like, going off of that again, I wasn't too much of a fan of that movie, but I like Krennic.
I did too. I like
Krennic. I thought he was actually.
I think he's a great actor.
If anything about that film that went well, Krennic was fun.
Yeah, well,
fun as in he's a fun character. He's a bad villain. He's
a good villain.
Yes, he's a good bad villain. As in he was a bad guy. He made you kind of hate him.
Yeah, I like the actor. I think he's great. Ben. What is his name?
He was really good in Ready Player One as well.
He's great in Ready Player One. He's also going to be in Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Ben Mendelsohn, a great dude. I met him a few times. I think he was a highlight of that movie.
Interview?
Twice so far.
Yeah.
3 times actually so far. Ready Player One.
Was he a nice guy, or was
super
he
nice?
Super nice. That's good. Good to know.
Ready Player One, the movie that he was in with Gary Oldman, where he played Churchill, the Churchill movie.
Oh yes, actually, I saw that going over to Europe last week, and that was I really enjoyed that.
It's a good movie.
It's a very good movie. We didn't talk about this, but I just got back from Europe. I actually did a Churchill museum when I was there, and it was like all the war rooms and stuff. So if you get a chance to go over there, it was super neat. I highly recommend, if you're going to do that, watch Dunkirk and then watch that film, because
they almost play
like right in a row, because Dunkirk is so.
Well, Dunkirk was technically like going on in the middle of the Churchill movie.
Yes, yeah. But what was neat though is if you watch Dunkirk at first, and then you get the entire backstory of what Dunkirk was, and then you watch Darkest Hour, and it fits just like this.
It does.
Yeah,
it fits really well.
Yeah. It was neat for me to end up watching both of those and then going into the Churchill war rooms.
What about, let's just talk about Star Wars spin-offs for a second. Do you think that they'll ever give Donnie Yen his Star Wars spin-off?
He needs one. I think that was the 2 characters that I think were actually...
He was my favorite in that movie,
mine too. Him and his brother were the 2
Were they brothers?
They were brothers in the movie. In the movie they were. Wow, you like that film, and I knew that more than okay.
I don't know. I don't know if they're. I don't know if they're brothers.
Yeah, he said that they were brothers in the film. They said that they were related.
Can somebody confirm that for me on the Star Wars Fanatics fanpage?
That's what I recall. That's why he was so pissed off that he got shot, and he was like, oh, he's freaking out.
I think it's because they were close. I don't know if they were brothers.
What were they, like pen pals?
I don't think they were brothers. I'm gonna go on record and say I don't think they were brothers.
I think they were brothers. Those guys, I think, were the most interesting out of the entire thing, and I felt like there was a I don't know, a letdown when they didn't really go, oh, they think he's from the Jedi Temple, and then they didn't say anything else more about it.
We're talking about Rogue One. He thinks Chirrut and the other guy were brothers. I don't think they are.
What's their names?
Chirrut and who? Baze.
Chirrut and Baze.
Scott says he thought they were lovers. Ben Wolf says
they're lovers.
I don't think they are.
They're pen pals.
I don't think they are.
I thought they were brothers.
Ben Wolf says no. I read her. Ben Wolf.
No, he's
says
wrong.
no.
Don't think they are. Nobody knows. No one's really saying it. I thought they were brothers. They're both from Jedi Temple somewhere.
Soldier type brothers, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You did not mean soldier type brothers, though. All right, so let's
Lost brothers.
Talk about this for a second.
Boys.
Now let's just move on to a bit of other news. did we even finish the remake talk? I mean, the fan remake thing?
We got on topic, and you asked me what I thought about it, and I said I think it's a waste of time.
Do you think Star Wars should ever go G-rated? Or go R-rated?
R-rated? No.
No, why?
I don't think so. I think it's meant for... It's meant for a... It's meant for adults and kids. I think it's meant for everybody, to be honest. And... there's no character in there other than, let's say, Darth Maul that I think you could really consider going.
Ever. You don't think it should ever go? Because Marvel, I could say the same thing, but there is the Punisher.
There's a Punisher.
There's Daredevil.
Well, did Daredevil go rated R?
I mean, it's what is it? TV 16 on Netflix. Daredevil, Punisher,
yeah, okay.
Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
What's Blade? Blade and
well, those aren't like Marvel proper. They're not.
It's still a Marvel character.
They're not Marvel Cinematic Universe, though. They're not current rendition of the MCU.
Deadpool then.
That's also not current Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's well, okay. Well, then spin-off technically. Well, if you go rated R, what would you go with?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the question, right? Like, what do you do? Maybe you do a gritty bounty hunter story of some guy that's a badass. Like,
I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it, but then you've got, it's the same thing like kids going in to go see, Deadpool. He's still technically like a superhero section of X-Men. No,
I don't disagree with that, but I mean, it's like saying, it's so interesting to me because it's like, oh, hey, there are no stories that fit that. However, Star Wars
are totally stories.
Star Wars is one of those things though where it's like, well. Like, if you became a Star Wars writer, you don't have to adhere to anything that's in the world. No. You can create your own pocket of that universe. Like, so that's why I was just curious about that.
I mean, personally, I don't consider that being said. Would a no holds bar lightsaber battle be pretty darn cool? Absolutely. But that being said, I personally think of it down the road, as in because I consider it as a piece for everybody to watch. It's like saying having the characters cuss.
Yeah, I think language. No, I wouldn't actually. I don't like that.
So that being said, it's like having Han Solo be like, "Oh shit, damn fuck." Like, no, I personally would be like, why are they saying that?
So it's held under kind of different standards as well, though, mainly because it's in space.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if those words would necessarily...
Well, I mean, scruffy looking nerf herders, like, I think that the farthest that you can kind of go, oh, you bantha fodder is still kind of like, it's like one of those, like, slang words that they say inside of it. I get that. But being said, if they could, like, cuss and it be rated R, like, how far would you go rated R?
I think it's more violence than anything
It would have to be violent.
So maybe you'd have to have, like, a Krennic torture...
A Krennic torture scene, or, I mean... It would have to be super, super far to make it happen.
Yeah, it would have to be...
Well, let's just say like Cad Bane, for instance. Like, if you took a Cad Bane movie about bounty hunters and it being under the underworld and having it, you said torture scene, or like blaster images that are like very like gutsy. After that factor, I can't see it doing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm opposed to it, but I would say rated R Star Wars movies would not be my first choice. I think it's the more violence that it would be the rated R for. If it's violence for the sake of storytelling, then I think I'd be okay with it. Not like a gore movie, but like let's say it's like a Samurai 7.
Pork nuts.
Pork nuts. Like if it's a samurai kind of like Jedi movie, and there's like a lot of like decapitation and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I could go down with it, but
I can do without the language though.
We'd have decapitation.
We've heads chopped off.
We've seen it already, but it was a tasteful way to do it.
It was.
If you're gonna chop somebody's head off and then show like the insides of how it's charred, like that's where it kind of gets to be like, okay, why did you do that? Because you just wanted a rated R factor. I don't. Yeah,
now that we're really talking about it,
exactly.
I guess it doesn't necessarily.
Think about it that way, and you let's just say for some instance you have kids someday, and you're like, hey, I want to show you Star Wars, but this is the rated R version of it. Do you want to show that to them? I personally, and if it's a Disney-owned property now, the fact that
it would all depend. If it's like a group, like, because you know how like Punisher is kind of an offshoot of the Marvel universe.
It is.
If you had something like a Hit Squad that was like the Hit Squad Stormtrooper, kind of like hardcore, like we're talking more kind of like Saving Private Ryan type thing.
Sure. But it just being about the Stormtroopers that do that.
Yeah. I don't think it would work any.
No, not at all.
way.
I mean, that's like saying like, okay, let's just go off of Marvel stuff. Logan was I love Logan.
Yeah,
I thought that was the first time we got to see Wolverine actually.
That's interesting, 'cause now they're rumoring that's the new that's going to be the director and writer
of Star Wars.
Of Boba Fett.
Of Boba Fett.
Which makes the most sense.
A gritty Boba Fett film, fine. If you're going to do it the right way.
If you're going to do it the right way, I agree.
But being a rated R film, I don't. PG-13 is the tops rated. I think it should go.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like again, Star Wars needs to be held in a different kind of like accounting than a lot of other movies.
Yeah,
Star Wars is an
if
event.
you're gonna do it on all like rated R thing on stormtroopers fighting rebels and it being like you said like a World War II type thing, to where we have those characters, I wouldn't be mad if like Danny and the other guy they showed that version of them and them being like a leader of a section and it being rated R. Cool, do that. But if you're gonna do something along the lines of like these characters that we've seen for years and doing rated R,
Thomas Skillman makes a great point. Parents won't take kids to a rated R Star Wars movie. No money for the studios. I agree with that. But however, parents didn't take kids to Solo either. So that was PG-13, and they didn't take them there.
Well,
either.
I mean, it's like saying parents won't take kids to Deadpool. I saw many kids into Deadpool.
Yeah.
I saw many
super
kids
inappropriate for kids, by the way.
Absolutely, it's inappropriate for kids. So you're going to do something like for Star Wars? I don't see it happening.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. Rob, where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me right here at DJ White at Instagram. You can find me at robwhite.com and Twitter at DJ White as well. And hit me up on the DMs because
slide into his DMs.
Slide in my DMs. But yeah, we got Comic-Con coming up pretty soon too.
You excited about that?
I am actually.
I heard they're bringing the Millennium Falcon out there.
Yeah, and I'm actually excited to go to the R2 Builders thing they've got going on there because there's a couple cool things going on over there. They're going to be releasing some.
Oh, you know what?
droids.
I'm excited for this big Dave Filoni Star Wars
talk.
Well, the whole anniversary panel.
Of all of them coming from Clone Wars?
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool.
Neat.
That's the biggest Star Wars announcement that's coming out of that convention, so I may as well be excited for it.
Everything else is kind of just,
I do think Dave Filoni should be kind of like the one that oversees the universe. He gets it. He understands it.
He's been doing it for quite a long time, and he's always done really well at it.
Yeah, I agree. And Dave Filoni should be the guy.
And he ungodly loves this stuff.
Yeah, I was really hoping Ro was going to stumble in drunk too. Didn't happen, Dylan, but thank you so much. Guys, you can find me at that hashtag Joe on all social media. I want to thank you guys for watching.
You can't afford that punch, Tom. You can't afford that punch.
You can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at that hashtag show. And catch us here every week at the Star Wars Trilogy on Facebook. We're also on thathashtagshow.com. Again, we are going to be releasing a big Star Wars story very soon. So keep your eyes peeled and tune into that hashtag show's website, because mainly we have new Star Wars stories coming out every single day.
Every single day. I mean, it's new stuff coming out. Make sure you check it out, click it, share it with your friends, repost it, do all that stuff, because that's what keeps this thing going.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will catch you next week right here. May the Force be with you.